Hello everyone, what we have here is the Marlin XT-MR22, chambered in 22 WMR, or more commonly known as the 22 Magnum. Far superior round over the 22 LR. Depending on the brand, typically averages twice the velocity of a 22 LR, with the 22 LR being about 1,000 feet per second, and the 22 Magnum, 22 WMR, however you wish to call it, averaging about 2,000 feet per second. Overall, it's a fantastic rifle. I love it. Killed many rabbits, coyotes, possums, skunk, fox, you name it. Even taken down a 80-pound hog with this so far. But love it all around. It's great. Comes with a 4-round magazine and 7-round magazine from the factory. Also comes with a 5-year limited warranty, which is nice to know. Don't plan to have any problems with it, but it's nice to know I have it if anything does happen. Currently had this rifle about 3 years now and yet to let me down. Hits the point every single time. Right now, just got a cheap little Tasco 3x9x40 scope on it right now. The way I look at it being about a $220 rifle, I don't see the point in putting a scope on there that costs more than the actual rifle itself. So that's why I went with this, and it does me good. Keeps it center, and like I said, hits the point every time. But either way, what I'm going to show you today is how to adjust the ProFire Trigger. It's Marlin's equivalent of the adjustable trigger. And basically, what you see right here in the center part of the trigger right there, it's basically a safety right there. It makes it to where if you're not actually pressing that center piece, you can't fire the trigger. It's pretty much an additional safety on the rifle. So since you can adjust it, it makes it to where you won't accidentally fire the trigger by accident if you're not intending to, especially when you have the trigger adjusted as low as it'll go. Pretty much you can adjust it all the way up to so tight where you can't even pull the trigger no matter how hard you pull. And I believe the lowest you can get it down to is about a 1-pound pull, and it comes from the factory around a somewhere between a 3.5 and 4-pound pull, which is perfectly fine, but I myself, I prefer a lighter of a trigger pull. So we'll go ahead and get started. First thing first, you want to go ahead and remove the bolt from the rifle. And might I add too, this would be the same process you'll use to disassemble a rifle for cleaning as well. So first things first, drop the magazine if you have one in there. Magazine catches right here. You pull it back, magazine will drop out. And then most importantly, you first want to double check. Make sure that you do not have a round chambered. You always want to do that before you do any type of work or cleaning on a rifle. And once you got that, go ahead and close it back up, have it in the fire position, pull the trigger, and don't release. Hold the trigger back without letting go. Then you want to lift the bolt up, and it'll slide right on out. And at this point, you can now let go of the trigger. And for now, if you're going to clean it, which I highly recommend if you're going to have it apart anyways, we'll go ahead and set the bolt aside for now. Next thing you want to do is come down here, and I believe it's a 9/32, 9/64. If you look here, you'll see there's 2 Allen screws right here, right behind and right in front of the magazine well. You want to go ahead and remove those. This is all that holds the barrel and receiver to the stock. So if you want to change the stock, this is how you would change the stock as well. You might note that the smaller screw goes to the back and the larger diameter one goes up front, but really it doesn't matter because you can only put them in one way. You can't mix them up by any means, even though one's longer, one's shorter. At this point, the barrel will come straight out of the stock. And then here we have the stock. If you're changing it out, go ahead and set that aside and grab your new stock. Here we go, just for ease. Oh, this is one thing too. See this piece right here? This is actually what this front bolt screws into to hold it onto the stock. Just be careful you don't lose that, or make sure it's on there when you put it back in. It's not secured by any means. It's just a slotted area right here where you would slide it in or slide it out. And yeah, just want to make sure that's back in there before you reassemble the rifle. For ease of showing you, I'm going to go ahead and remove the trigger right now, but that's completely unnecessary if you want to adjust it. I'm just going to do this to make it easier for you to see at the camera. And it's the same Allen head, 9/64 here, holding the trigger onto the receiver. One thing you want to be careful of is there's a lock washer on each side of holding it for these screws. Be sure you don't lose those lock washers. As you can see here, here's the lock washers that are used to hold the trigger assembly into the receiver. Here's the trigger assembly right here. You notice up front, right here, there's a 3/8 size nut right there. Basically, that's where you're going to be adjusting the the trigger pull at. Right below that, there's going to be a 3/32, or inside of that, this black part right here. This is going to be a 3/32 Allen screw right there. And basically, that 3/8 nut that I'm speaking of, that's the nut that holds it to where you won't lose the setting you have on the trigger. I don't have a 3/8 wrench available, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be real careful and use a 10mm wrench on this nut right here, and you just want to crack it loose. Once you got it loose, you can then go ahead and adjust your trigger with 3/32 Allen wrench. Clockwise will tighten your pull, counterclockwise will loosen your pull. And I want mine loosened. So I'm going to go ahead and insert it like that. And I recommend do it in small increments, that way you don't go way too light or way too tight. And I've already adjusted it some, I'm just want to loosen it up a little bit more. Now at this point, you just want to go ahead and retighten down that nut that locks everything in place. And it's as simple as that. Now it's ready to be reassembled or clean, whatever you're here to do. But in my case, I'm done, so we're just going to go ahead and reassemble it. Complete reverse order of what we just did. So first, I'm going to go ahead and set the trigger assembly here in the slot provided for it in the receiver. And like I said, be sure you have those lock washers still. So now we've got the trigger reinstalled. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this piece that I showed you earlier. It slid out from underneath the barrel. Just a threaded area. Like I said, it's designed to hold this front screw right there. That way hopefully you can see it right there, how it's slotted. And then basically it'll go in either direction. You just want to go ahead and slide that back in place right there. Then now, as you see, it's back in place. Now that we have that there, we'll just go ahead and take the stop, set it right back up on there, aligning the trigger to come through the slot provided in the stock. And it'll all pop right back in place. And then we'll just go ahead and reassemble these screws. Yeah, now we've got that back to reassembled. Then now we want to take the bolt. If you look at those two little grooves right here on the bottom side, you want to line those up facing down. And then once you've got it started back in there, you just want to get your hand on the trigger, hold it back just like you did in the reverse of pulling the bolt out. It should slide right back in. And now you're completely reassembled. But anytime you ever disassemble a rifle like this, you always want to check the functionality of it, make sure everything's working right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it back. It stops as it should right there. I have the rifle cocked. Now you want to put it on safety. Pull the trigger. very vital when you're messing with any trigger assembly components. Give it a few good, very firm pulls. Make sure that the trigger does not fire. If it does fire, you need to re-disassemble the rifle and figure out what went wrong and fix it. And if you can't figure it out, take it to a certified gunsmith. You don't want to be firing a rifle that does not have a safety on it. Now I've confirmed that my safety does work as it should, so I'm going to put it back in the fire position. Now I want to make sure that my rifle does fire when I pull the trigger. It fires. Let's go ahead and try it one more time. Put it on safety. Pulling very firm several times. The rifle is not firing. I'm going to remove the safety, put it on the fire position. The rifle fires. Hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I made that as clear as could be. But if you have any questions about how to adjust your ProFire trigger in any of the Marlin firearms, post your questions or comments in the comment section and I'll get back to you. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed.